Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome.
Welcome. Good afternoon. Good evening. Excited to be chatting with you all today. How are you doing, Chelsea?
I'm great. I'm enjoying a nice evening as the sun is setting here in British Columbia. How about you? How are things in Ontario?
Same. We actually had a really beautiful sunset today. I'm just on the more eastern side, I guess, of Lake Ontario, and we got a little bit of snow, actually. Not as much as further north. My brother lives in like the Midland Blue Mountains area, and it looks like a full-on winter wonderland up there. It would be interesting to hear from the people that are signing on. Did you get snow today where you are? Let us know in the chat.
Yeah, I'm curious because I actually got snow too. I
You
had
did?
beautiful sunshine this morning with a dusting of snow on the ground. Then
Nice.
the wind came in, it got cloudy, it snowed again, and now it's clear again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Ashley is telling us yesterday she got some as well.
Oh, nice.
Tis the
It's that
season,
season.
right?
Yep, it is.
This is what we're in for.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we get started?
Sounds great.
All right. Well, I am going to introduce Jeanette. So my name is Chelsea DeCole. I'm part of the Jamieson education team, and I want to introduce to you Jeanette Mason. So Jeanette is a certified nutritional practitioner. Her focus is on digestion and mental health. She's worked with a wide range of clients, from athletes to business professionals to families, as well as organizations like the BC Nurses Union and the Canadian Mental Health Association. The root of her work is education. So by equipping individuals with the knowledge about how their body works, the choices about how to help their body heal and thrive becomes much easier. Jeanette is a phenomenal speaker. I'm very excited for all of you to be able to join today and to hear her present on this amazing topic. And just so you know, a couple of housekeeping things before I pass it on to her. We are recording this, so if you have to leave early or you've come in a little bit late, not to worry, you'll be able to view this again. And I'll be on throughout, silently behind the scenes, answering any questions that you may have. So make sure you use the Q&A or the chat for that. And with that, I will pass it along to you. Take it away.
Thanks so much, Chelsea. Okay, hello everyone. Good evening. Let's just go ahead and get into our topic today, which is all about laying the great essentials for a strong foundation. So, okay, let's just put it out there. Health can be incredibly confusing. There are so many questions that we ask ourselves on a daily basis. Things like, should I be eating this? Did I move enough today? Am I feeling stressed out? What can I do to feel more relaxed? And what supplements should I be taking? Now, oftentimes we are completely overloaded with information in a world where practically every news platform and social media is covering the topic of health and wellness. Now, we are often left with so much information that it becomes practically impossible to actually make an informed decision about what our body truly needs. And I get it. We are busy individuals. We have deadlines to meet at work, personal goals to accomplish, family and friends to spend time with, and of course, all that housework that needs to be tended to as well. We want to be the best version of ourselves so we can have meaningful connections, and we want to be able to show up every day in our life with our best foot forward. Now, even though many of us will try to eat healthy and really make sure that we're supporting our mental and physical health, and also learn different ways to support ourselves, like by attending a Healthy Planet webinar, sometimes our body does tend to tell a bit of a different story. Things like low energy, bad sleep, cold and flus, feeling bloated, digestive issues, and living in pain are some of the realities that some of us will face currently or potentially are on the path to experiencing. Now, how do we actually bring more energy and vibrancy to your life at any age? That's really, one of the main tokens and really one of the main ideas that I want all of us to walk away today is that there are tangible things. There are specific nutrients, there are specific lifestyle shifts that we can all incorporate to feel our best, no matter what. You know, we do understand that there can be some barriers, and I'm going to be addressing some of those today. But what I want you to know is that with Healthy Planet and Jamieson, we really are here and we really do have your back. So make sure you take advantage of the question and answer function. And of course, you can always reach out to our Healthy Planet advisors anytime you wish. So for today, we're going to be talking about how to support your wellness needs with core nutrition, why gut health and probiotics are essential to overall wellness, the #1 vitamin most of us are deficient in, the best secret to brain, eye, and heart health support, and easy lifestyle tips for a healthier you. Now, regardless of whatever life stage you are in, possibly a young adult who's just graduated and beginning their career, or maybe you're someone who's possibly in your late 60s and potentially about to retire, the foundations of our health always remain the same. Yes, we do have foundations or pillars of health that help to support and optimize our health. So let's give some examples here and look at some real people examples. So starting with Jill. So Jill is a 35-year-old juggling a demanding job. She's starting to feel the pressure and the increased demands in her life. She's busy working. She has, like I said, that demanding job, and she also has an increased societal pressures of starting a family. I certainly can relate to Jill a little bit there. She has a lot on her plate, and she's starting to notice changes in her health. Things like bad sleep, not a lot of energy for exercises after work. There's no time to eat well, and she's grabbing quick carbohydrate foods for that fast energy. She doesn't eat as much veggies as she should be, and she does tend to skip breakfast regardless of the situation. Maybe there are some things in Jill's life that you also resonate with. Now let's talk about the Jacksons. So the Jacksons are in retirement now. They've worked to provide their family, and now they're really trying to focus and invest on themselves, and really so that they have enough time and enough energy to be able to do the things that they love. They are aware that they are aging, and they're concerned about their health. They're both worried about their bone health as well as heart health. They want to be as healthy as possible so that they can enjoy each other's company as well as their family. And I'm sure for many of you, that's why you're here. You want to be able to learn how to bring your best self forward, how to optimize your health and wellness, not just for now, but for years to come. And that's why at Jamieson, we are certainly here to help you fulfill and really help you understand specific ways to support yourself and specific ways to support your family by choosing wellness. Okay, so I have a quiz question for you, and don't worry, you're not going to be graded on it, but I'd love to throw this question out there. And the question is, what actually are the pillars of health? So what do we need every single day to support our health and wellness? Is it sleep? Is it stress? Is it nutrition? Is it activity? Or is it all of the above? Please feel free to answer in the chat box now. You guys are way too smart. And of course, it is all of them. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So just like our home needs a good structure and foundation to support us and the functions that take place in our homes, our health needs the same. The 4 pillars of health are similar to a home's solid foundation. So these pillars are nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management. And if we don't have these, if there's a crack in one of these pillars, you can imagine that there's almost going to be a bit of a domino effect affecting the other areas of our health as well. Now, the way that you support your foundation on a day-to-day basis will reflect how much support you need as far as nutrition, as well as supplemental. So let's talk about supporting the foundations, because that's really why we're all here today. Now, as a nutritionist, I do have to admit that we do have a nutrition problem, and it really does show in our health and wellness. Nearly 2/3 of all deaths worldwide are from non-communicable chronic diseases, with a similar proportion in Canada. According to Global Burden of Disease study, unhealthy eating is the second leading risk for disability in Canada. The World Health Organization estimates that 63% of deaths worldwide result from non-communicable chronic diseases, or NCDs. And these include cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, and obesity. Now, unhealthy eating is the leading risk for death and the second leading risk for disability in Canada. And key drivers of this unhealthy eating pattern in Canadians are the increased consumption of processed foods, which are high in calories, salt, sugar, and saturated fat, and a lack of whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, fruits, and vegetables. So, for example, 75% of Canadians surpass the recommended dietary intake of salt, and over half of Canadians are consuming diets above the recommended sugar and saturated fat levels. So there's certainly an imbalance happening here. And so what we really want to be focusing on, and what I talk about with my clients regularly, is eat things that are real, right? It can be really easy to be kind of swept up in, easy to go meals, things that are in the freezer section, already prepared foods. But when we're really relying on those on a regular basis, how often do we actually take a moment and, flip the product around and look at that ingredient list? I say, if you don't understand one or more of the ingredients in a list that is a part of a formulation or part of a recipe that you're looking at of something that's already done, then it's probably best that you just leave it in the store and move on to the outer rim of your grocery store, focusing on your fruits, your vegetables, your proteins, and then your legumes and your grains. I know it seems, sometimes for some people, they kind of think that, oh, it's going to be so much more difficult than it actually is. But in fact, if you start to arm yourself with a couple key, dinner staple recipes, you can really become quite a home chef, and you can start to learn tips and tricks to make things really fast and really easy for yourself. Okay, so another question that I'd love to throw out to you all, and please feel free to answer in the chat box. The question is, what diet is best? So we hear a lot about diets nowadays. Something like the Mediterranean diet has a lot of clout from dietitians, nutritionists, naturopaths. A lot of people in the health and wellness field really do keep the Mediterranean diet high on the list. We also hear things about the keto diet or the low carb diet or even paleo diet. So do you believe that there is a superior diet? And I'm just curious which diet you think would be the best. So, okay, yeah, I'm seeing a variety of answers here. So no diet, whole food, I see vegan, and I see plant-based. Okay, interesting. Now, we just kind of chatted about very briefly there the link between diet and disease. And we know that the food that we put in our body directly impacts our body's resilience. So food could either cause disease or it can treat it. Now, at the end of the day, and I really did love your answers, but there is no such thing as the best diet for absolutely everyone, right? We are all bio-individual, and with that, we all have unique dietary needs. Now, when we think about, if we're kind of starting to incorporate more vegetables or proper amount of protein or bringing in whole foods, what it's really about is consistency. So cutting out entire food groups is really setting you up for long-term failure. If you cut out grains, deficiencies in B vitamins can start to show up. When it comes to the best diet, we really want to be mindful of our macronutrients. So this includes carbs, proteins, and fats. So let's look at the image on the screen here just a little bit more clearly. So we see many servings of fruits and vegetables, but more vegetables in general. And there are a variety of colors on the plate. We've got the greens, reds, purples, yellows. And so by eating a variety of colors, you get a different variety of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. Now, the carbohydrates on the plate, these are all whole grains. So what does whole grain mean? It means that the fibers have not been removed and it's not refined. This helps keeping you full longer, and it doesn't spike your blood sugar quite as much as refined grains like white breads and pastas. So you know how sometimes you have these energy dips and spikes throughout the day? Oftentimes that is associated with the type of food that we're eating. And if it's really quick to digest foods like our simple carbs that have been refined, that's usually when you get the spike up of energy, you feel really great, but then you get the spike down very shortly afterwards. Now, moving on to protein. So we can see on the page here that there are different sources of protein. We see eggs, legumes, lentils, tofu, and meat. Now, making sure you have enough protein is incredibly important. Protein is a source of amino acids, which is the building block for different components of the body. Protein keeps us feeling full and are needed for our hair, skin, nails, organ regeneration, muscle tissue, enzymes, for reactions occurring in the body, and so much more. So, you know, us on the Jamieson Wellness team as nutritionists and naturopaths, we typically like to recommend about 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So, you know, it would be great even, you know, right now as we're kind of chatting and going through this webinar, you know, maybe calculate how much protein you need per day and then start to learn how much protein is in your food. I always find it so interesting when, you know, people usually, you know, go, oh, I have an egg in the morning. That is my protein, you know, for that portion of the day. Well, I hate to break it to you, that's only 6 grams of protein. So how can we actually up the protein amount? Now, you know, doing this may help track, you know, and it's good to do this for a couple weeks to really get a better understanding of which types of foods you should be consuming in order to meet your specific needs. And again, we are all bio-individuals. So really, you know, tuning into your own body is very important. Okay, so we're talking about nutrition, but it's also important to think about hydration. About 33% of people are not properly hydrated. Is anybody thirsty right now? I feel like I need to take a sip of water. Okay, I feel better. So on average, we need about 2 to 4 liters of water per day. But again, our individual needs vary. So more water will be needed in people that live in dry environments, people that are more active, and if you're consuming dehydrating substances such as caffeine. Now, when we are dehydrated, we feel more fatigued, we can get headaches, we tend to eat more when we're not hungry, and our skin and eyes can get dry, and our muscles may cramp more easily. So there's a lot of reasons to make sure you are drinking enough water. Now remember, nutrition is a form of self-care, not punishment. Don't punish yourself from the decisions you've made. Rather, look forward to helping yourself feel better through your choice of foods, and start with adding healthier food rather than restricting. So, you know, very simply, start by doubling your vegetable intake. Drink 1 more glass of water. Calculate how much protein you need and try to match it more and more as the days go by. Actions like this will eventually lead up to big changes in your nutrition and overall health. Okay, moving on to the second pillar. How much exercise do we need? The World Health Organization updated their exercise recommendations in November of 2020. Now, we've always been told from our doctors to exercise, but why is this? Immediately after exercising, there are improved thinking, reduced anxiety, and better sleep. Long-term exercise can help with weight management, improve heart health, and strengthen muscles and bones. Now, the last bit is really important as we age. Exercise can actually slow the loss of bone density, which occurs with age, and muscles strengthened from exercise can maintain muscle mass and reduce the risk of falling as well as injuries. So how much exercise do you in particular actually need? The World Health Organization does recommend 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week. So moderate intensity can look different to everyone. But when I think about moderate intensity, I think about, you know, going to the gym and doing a mix of cardio and weightlifting. This might be a HIIT workout. This could be, you know, going really hard in the pool, or going for a really like good run for me where I do feel, you know, my heart rate is starting to increase and I am sweating a lot. Now, they also recommend 2 or more days a week of strength training, and then 75 to 150 minutes should be very vigorous activity per week. So again, that's going to look different for everyone, but for that 75 to 150 minutes, you really want to be pushing your body. And as much as possible, we want to limit sedentary activity. So, some examples that I use with clients, and, we've talked about in our education team is that, if we have someone that is, for example, addicted to watching nighttime TV, I know there can be a lot of comfort to cuddling up on the couch with your sweetheart or by yourself with your favorite beverage and watching something really funny before bed. And you know what? There can actually be a lot of benefit to that. However, if you find that you're watching TV for long periods of time throughout the day, maybe try to incorporate some sort of stretching, yoga, even like holding some Pilates moves while you're watching the TV can be a really good and easy shift for you to start to incorporate just more movement as you go about your day. Now, I would like all of us to reflect on how much we actually move our body during the week. And, ask yourself, are you meeting the minimum requirements set out by the World Health Organization? Okay, so on the other side of the coin, we have sleep. 50% of adults have trouble falling or staying asleep, and 20% wake up feeling unrefreshed in the morning, and 33% have difficulty staying awake during the day. That's a lot of people having some sort of sleep issues. Now, sleep is incredibly important. And when we think about our mental health, it is a really big player. When we don't sleep well, we have poor learning, poor memory, as well as trouble making decisions and solving problems. Sleep plays a role in mood regulation as well as depression. And lack of sleep increases our risk for chronic diseases like diabetes, heart disease, obesity, kidney disease, and even stroke. So sleep is critical for overall health, and in particular, our immune response. So, again, many reasons that we really should kind of take a bit of a step back and look at our overall sleep and how well we're actually doing. So on your screen here, you see a list of tips for better sleep. Now, what I always like to say is maybe pick 3 or 4 of these tips and try to incorporate them into your day-to-day life and see how things change. Now, all of us have different rhythms about how we like to go about our day. So I don't want to be incredibly strict with the tips for better sleep, but I will tell you that for myself, I have noticed a big difference in my overall sleep quality. I will admit, in university, I was actually a really big insomniac, and this drastically impacted my mental health, as well as how well I was able to retain information in my classes. And so that went on for about 2 years. It's now many years since I've graduated from university. And even now, if I notice that I'm having some days where, the insomnia is starting to set in, I have to reflect on myself and say, okay, was I drinking something that was too stimulating before bed? Sometimes I do love to have coffee in the afternoon, but that will certainly affect my circadian rhythm and how much melatonin my body is able to actually produce on its own. I'll also think about things like, was I watching TV too close to bedtime? Because the blue light can also affect our circadian rhythm. So there's many things to kind of take away from here, but I would say bringing in exercise is also really important for supporting our health and supporting our overall sleep. However, we don't want to exercise too close to bedtime, because when we exercise, we actually increase our cortisol in the body, and cortisol offsets melatonin. So if cortisol is too high, our melatonin is going to have a really hard time coming up to the levels that we need to be able to fall asleep. Now let's talk about stress, because this is another very, very common issue. And to be honest, living in North America, it's very difficult to avoid stress. And, for many people and many philosophers, living the human experience is stressful. So, we need a little bit of stress in our life. It's what keeps us going, keeps us motivated. There's good stress, there's bad stress. However, managing it is really the key and really building our resilience. So, it's not surprising that most of us feel like we are being held together by a loose thread, and that at any given moment, things can snap and our whole world can come tumbling down. So let's just review what is stress. So stress is our body's natural mechanism against danger. When we are feeling threatened, our body releases a life-saving hormone called cortisol. That enables us to run away from the danger. It helps our heart pump more, activates our muscles, increases epinephrine, and a host of other things that essentially helps us survive. But this mechanism can become dysfunctional. Our body, unfortunately, does not do a good job at differentiating between real life threatening situations and just stimulation. For instance, the body will not, or the body actually will respond in a very similar way to something like a looming deadline hovering over your head and something that you think about on a regular basis, as it does to a tiger chasing us. So as a result, we may be feeling stressed throughout the day while we're sitting at our desk, replying to time-sensitive emails, as well as working on projects, or while we're in the kitchen trying to finish making dinner, or when we're in the doctor's office waiting to be seen. So, one question that, I love to ask is, how are you managing your stress? What are things that you're bringing in on a regular basis? Because how we manage our stress in situations is really, really important for overall health and overall resilience. Oh, this is great. I'm seeing a lot of questions come in. That's great, guys. Keep it up. So one thing that, I always try to remember is that I, as well as you, am a human being. So I'm a human being, I'm not a human doing. So it's completely unrealistic for us to think that as human beings, we should be go, go, go and doing all of the time. And I know it can be difficult, especially if you are supporting a family, especially if you are running a business or trying to keep a job or just trying to keep up with life's day-to-day things. However, we know that the faster we go and the more that we do is actually getting us closer to one finish line. And it's not always the finish line that we want. It's usually associated with poor health. So in order to avoid that, I really do want everyone today and just, everyone in general to take a break. Give yourself a break when and where you can. Chelsea mentioned at the top of the presentation, I've worked with the nurses unions, and I've worked with nurses unions across Canada. And, what is always so interesting to me is that many nurses will work 12-hour shifts. They won't take their breaks. They won't even take water breaks, far less taking a break to actually go to the washroom. And unfortunately, in the nursing profession, there is a very high turnover rate because nurses are getting burnt out and they're not able to stay in their career of choice, something that they love to do long term, because their body will not allow it. It begins to shut down. So even if you are in a high pressure job like nursing, what I say is, if you really want to be there and be able to support your patients, just take 5. So take 5 and do 5 slow, deep breaths. Do you know how long it takes to take 5 deep breaths? Usually, on average, between 45 seconds and a minute. I think, unless we are in a code blue, most of us can bring in 5 deep breaths throughout the day, especially when you start to feel those, anxious feelings begin to rise. Maybe your shoulders get really tight and all of a sudden you're like, I have no neck because I'm so stressed. Just take 5. Also, things like making time for your hobbies and practicing gratitude. So there's so many different ways that we can practice gratitude, but one of my favorites is that as soon as I wake up in the morning, so my alarm goes off because I get up very early, turn off the alarm, and I essentially force myself, but it's a habit now, but I think of at least one thing that I can be grateful for in that moment. And usually, especially in the winter months, it is, I am so grateful for this warm and cozy bed. But then I'm also grateful for my drive to get up and out of the bed and start my day. So whatever it is for you, just finding moments throughout the day that you can just practice some gratitude can actually do a world of wonders for helping to manage our stress and build our resilience. Okay, so now we're going to get into the essentials. Okay, so what is the essentials? So the Oxford Dictionary defines essential as completely necessary, extremely important in particular situations or for a particular activity. And there are foundation nutrients that are essential for maintaining health and wellness. So in order to understand this better, let's take a look at what we need in the way of nutrients to support our bodies day to day. beginning with our micronutrients like vitamins. So vitamins, these are organic molecules that assist in regulating body processes. They are known as micronutrients because we require them in smaller quantities than we do the macronutrients. Now, vitamins are necessary really for the support and function of the entirety of our health, including our immune system, our vision, our skin, our nerves, our blood, our bone development and maintenance, our digestive system, as well as wound healing. Now, deficiencies in certain vitamins will actually show up differently depending on the vitamin. One area that I see a deficiency in quite a lot is B vitamins. Now, B vitamins are part of the water-soluble vitamins. And the thing that we need for B vitamins the most is energy, as well as support for when we are stressed. So you can imagine, and maybe even think back to yourself, all those times that you are feeling completely drained and fatigued, and you've been going through a great deal of stress, your body is probably really crying out for some B vitamins. And same can be said about vitamin C, vitamin A. Each vitamin in essentially our vitamin chart has a role to play. So it's really important that we do pay attention to signs and symptoms of deficiency, and also ensure that we are eating a variety of foods and looking for a supplement that can make sure that we are hitting our bases. Next, we have minerals. So minerals also support many different functions in the body, including fluid regulation, bone structure, muscle movement, nerve functioning, stomach acid, enzyme function, blood system, immune health, protein building, and hormone health. That's a lot of things for these mighty minerals to do. And, one area that I see a lot of people having trouble with is actually their magnesium levels. So for a variety of reasons, we might not be consuming enough magnesium from our food. And this can often show up as cramping, fatigue, and it can also be associated with digestive issues. So again, an important area to make sure that we are hitting is our minimum requirement for minerals. So speaking of vitamins and minerals, where do you find both of these in a really easy format? Well, multivitamins. But a question that we get asked very often is, are multivitamins even necessary? So the majority of people do benefit from adding a multivitamin to their foundational regime. And yes, this also includes you. So how do you know if you need a multivitamin? Nutrient deficiencies can show up in interesting ways that can affect you in the short and long term. For example, depending on the nutrient, you may experience less energy, cramping, metabolism issues, hair loss, faster aging, skin issues, low mood, and more. And these changes may be subtle, but it is important to note. So, what I would say is that there are several considerations that can contribute to your health status and signal the need to supplement. In addition, when it comes to nutrients, factors related to diet, environment, age, medications, and lifestyle can contribute to the increased need for improved consumption. For example, stressful lives require higher doses of certain nutrients, and digestive issues can affect absorption. So as a nutritionist, I always recommend food first, but unfortunately, food alone does not level up when it comes to specific nutrients and our daily requirements for them. This is why I do usually recommend a multivitamin and mineral supplement to really make sure that we are hitting that baseline of needed nutrients. And you can almost think of it as an insurance policy against nutrient deficiencies so you can live a healthier, more fulfilled life. Now, do we eat well every day of every month, our 6 to 8 servings of veggies? Even as healthcare practitioners, it can be difficult for us to meet the minimum requirement. So, some people may, try to reach this, but we have to look at what is our optimal lifestyle. So what we wish we could do, or how we live maybe on Saturday and Sunday, and our true reality. Because, we do know that most Canadians do lead a hectic lifestyle. And so making convenient, fast and processed food choices more often than quality food choices just tends to be the reality. So, really what we want to be doing now is moving from that surviving to actually thriving. Another thing to consider is that, our ability to absorb and utilize important nutrients from food can actually be impacted in a variety of ways, which starts actually with where we're getting our food from. So, what is the sourcing? Is it being shipped from far away? Because we know as soon as a produce item is picked, it actually starts to reduce the amount of available vitamins as well as minerals. And then we have to think about soil quality. So what kind of soil was actually used for this food to grow in? Because our food, the produce, is getting nutrients, of course, from the sun, but also from the soil. So if the soil is depleted because of cash crops or various other reasons, the quantity of vitamins and minerals may not be the same as it was 20 to 30 years ago. And then lastly, a really big issue that I see a lot in clinical practice is digestion. How many people do you know are walking around feeling bloated or constipated or just overall unwell in the stomach or tummy area? If you're experiencing things like digestive issues, this is a really big sign that your body is not processing the food effectively. So you can imagine is having a really hard time actually absorbing and kind of sucking in all those amazing nutrients from your food. Other things to consider is that different fertilization techniques can cause soil depletion of certain minerals. Monoculture agriculture techniques tend to consume and deplete specific nutrients. Pesticides have the potential to decrease minerals in soil as well as crops, and processed foods have decreased levels of certain minerals. Now, common food staples like meat, sugar, and flour do have less than 20% of important daily minerals like magnesium. And if we think about how we're actually cooking our food, if we're boiling, if we're heating, if we're roasting, we're also decreasing the nutrient content. So I wanted to share this with you because I just thought this was so interesting that our requirements actually change for our vitamins and minerals as we age. So, we really need to kind of step outside that one size fit all mentality and really make sure that we are getting a targeted approach for our age, our sex, as well as our lifestyle. So although it is recommended that we get the majority of our nutrients from a well-balanced diet that is rich in fruits, vegetables, and lean sources of protein, research evidence does suggest that multivitamin mineral support is good insurance and may help to protect against things like cancer, cataracts, heart disease, and to improve immune function. Now, the number one vitamin that most of us are deficient in is vitamin D. Now, commonly known as the sunshine vitamin, vitamin D is unique because it can be made by the body through the exposure to sunlight, but that doesn't always mean that our bodies are making enough. And yes, that means your body too. Now, our body's ability to make vitamin D is dependent on many things, such as where you live, because the further you live from the equator, the less sun exposure you get. Other elements such as higher levels of smog, so if you're living in a city, or having to use sunscreen when you go outside, these all factor into how well your body will absorb the sun rays. Did you know that having darker skin pigment or being of an older age can also decrease your body's ability to produce vitamin D? 35% of Canadians are deficient in vitamin D. Even in countries where there is enough sun, vitamin D deficiencies are on the rise. So this is a really important nutrient to watch out for. So food sources of vitamin D include fatty fish like salmon, tuna, and mackerel. It's found in the egg yolk. It's also found in mushrooms. Now, the role of vitamin D is vast, and there's a lot of different ways that vitamin D supports us. But the main three are that it helps to maintain bone health, and vitamin D also supports other functions in the body, including cardiovascular support, as well as how well our muscles are functioning. And vitamin D also helps to maintain and support immune function. Okay, so now let's move on to omegas, and we're talking about essential fatty acids. So omegas are a specific type of fat that the body requires to maintain for overall health. Now, there are three main types, being omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9. Now, while they are all considered healthy fats, omega-3 is the most well-known because it is associated with lowering the risk of cardiac heart disease. Now, essential fatty acids are a specific type of fat required by the body to establish and maintain overall health and well-being. And the human body is unable to synthesize them, which means that we need them from an external source. Now, the two main types of EFAs include omega-6 and omega-3. So omega-6 is naturally found in most seeds and plants, including grains, and omega-3 is found in cold water fish, as well as the chloroplast of green leafy vegetables, and in some raw nuts and seeds such as flax, chia, almonds, and walnuts. Now, why do we need omegas? So studies suggest that an adequate dietary intake of omega-3 can slow age-related cognitive decline and protect against the risk of senile dementia. Now, research indicates that an adequate intake of DHA, which is a part of our omega-3, may limit the impact of stress on the brain. So it really does come down to overall brain health. It has such a profound impact on our central nervous system. It also has an impact on how well we are able to synthesize and regulate neurotransmitters. So think how well we are able to think, so cognition, as well as how we are feeling. So our mood is also associated with omega-3s. So one moment, please. 97% of the population should be taking supplemental omega-3. And that's because it's really difficult to be getting from food an actual therapeutic dose. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. So it is really important to also know, where we are getting our fats from regularly. Now, currently, a large portion of the standard diet is grain-based, and the oils used most frequently for cooking and in processed foods are omega-6. Most livestock are fed grains instead of grazing naturally. Therefore, the fats are found in meat, dairy, and eggs. So if we're eating non-grass-fed animals, it is going to be higher in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, of course, we do find omega-3s in fish. That is an excellent source. However, the amounts are not as high as you may think. So it's actually really difficult to be getting from food a true therapeutic amount. And I know for most people, they are not consuming fish on a regular basis. Okay, the last area that I wanted to address before getting into the specific supplements is protein. So remember we talked about before, we recommend about 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Have you calculated how much protein you need? You don't need to share it, but just think about that as we move through. Now, protein is incredibly important. It is the building block of essentially all things in our body. It helps to support the regulation and production of hormones and neurotransmitters. It helps to support the health of our skin, muscle, bone, organs, and tissues. Metabolic health and immune health rely on protein, as well as healing, healthy aging, and active living. Our body needs, again, between 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per day per kilogram to help prevent age-related muscle loss. So where should we start? So as nutritionists and naturopaths on the team for Jamieson Wellness Education, we always say, start with the gut, because it's through our digestion how we are actually able to absorb and utilize all of these important nutrients that we just talked about. So this is why we always start with digestion first. Now, our gut houses billions and trillions of microorganisms that all live together in harmony to keep us healthy. When it comes to gut health, the balance between these microorganisms is key. If some of these strains are eliminated and not replenished, it can cause the overgrowth of bacteria, which then contributes to uncomfortable digestive issues. So an overgrowth of bad bacteria can show up in feeling constipated, bloated, just having like a sore and sometimes even swollen tummy. So these are just some things to watch out for. So fun facts, the human body contains trillions of microorganisms, outnumbering human cells by 10 to 1. The microbes make up around 1 to 3% of your body mass, and 70 to 80% of the body's immune cells are found in the gut. So this is why when we're looking at, supporting immunity, we need to focus on proper digestion and proper gut health. Our immune system has co-evolved along with a diverse gut flora, not only to create defenses against pathogens, but also to develop tolerance for beneficial microbes. So why is gut health and digestion important? Because this is how we actually absorb and how we're able to utilize the important nutrients. Poor digestion can result in low energy, low moods, achy joints, and body pain. So oftentimes we do get asked, should I be taking a probiotic? Why do I need it? Is it even beneficial? And these are questions that, we get asked regularly. However, we know that probiotics help to balance the gut microflora by several mechanisms, and they do contribute to a healthy digestive system that can optimally absorb and synthesize nutrients. So when you're supplementing with probiotics, you're also supporting our body at the root or the gut. And this ensures that we are getting all the benefits from the nourishing foods that we choose to eat. Now, there are many reasons why healthy bacteria can become depleted. So taking medications like antibiotics and our levels of stress directly affects our gut health, and not necessarily in a positive way. So probiotic supplements are one way that you can keep beneficial bacteria working for you and your health in the simplest way possible. Now, there are food sources of probiotics. So fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, pickles, miso, and kombucha are probably some of the most well-known. However, research at the University of Toronto showed that the probiotic dosages contained in most food products are currently too low to provide the benefits shown in clinical trials. So you would need to eat up to 25 servings of these products each day to receive health benefits. So I'm not saying that fermented foods is, no good, don't even think about it. It certainly does have a place for a healthy diet. However, if we do want, the actual therapeutic benefits of probiotics, this is where we do need to look for supplementation. Okay, so now let's get into some solutions. And, we're all about choosing wellness with Jamieson. So a little bit of background on Jamieson, in case you don't know. Jamieson is built on a 100-year heritage and has become Canada's #1 most trusted and loved vitamin mineral supplement brand. So Jamieson brand is available in over 45 countries and regions, and Jamieson Wellness exceeds regulatory standards through our scalable, well-invested manufacturing platform. Jamieson continues to show substantial growth in the vitamin, mineral supplements, and sports nutrition through positive demographic trends. And, a lot of this is because of the quality that Jamieson brings. So we are a Canadian company, and we manufacture our products right here in Canada, and we've become Canada's #1 most trusted and loved brand. So how have we actually continued to hold Canada's trust? Well, with our 360 Pure promise, which is our promise to ourselves and more importantly to our customers that we are providing the best quality supplements available, as well as through a third-party DNA certification program, TrueID, which scientifically confirms that the herb or probiotic species that is expected is actually present in the bottle. So our quality is second to none, and we go above and beyond the regulations put forth by Health Canada. The essentials. So Jamison's team of scientists and nutrition experts have done the hard work for you, introducing Jamieson Essentials, which help to maintain foundational health and well-being. So starting with multivitamins. So research has shown that those who take multivitamins may have a reduced risk of certain health conditions, including cardiovascular disease, eye conditions, elevated blood sugar, and birth defects. So these are just some reasons why multivitamins, are an important place in the essentials. And so the one that I wanted to chat about today is the Multi 100% Complete for adults. However, you might know this, and if not, you can look on Healthy Planet's website, but Jamieson has a multivitamin for essentially every age, and as well as one specific for activity levels and genders. So we have 28 health claims for this product, ranging from supporting a healthy pregnancy to helping with wound healing. I'm not going to spend time going through each and every health claim, but I want us to realize how essential this product is. So it's a very easy way for the body to be essentially getting that insurance policy that we all desire, to really make sure that we are meeting our minimum requirements and also exceeding it in some instances. Next, we have vitamin D3. So benefits of vitamin D3, it helps to build strong bones and teeth. It helps to support a healthy immune system and helps to prevent vitamin D deficiency. So the one on your screen is just 1 tablet daily for the 1,000 IUs. You may need more. It's always great to talk with a healthcare practitioner or even get tested to see if you are deficient in vitamin D3 and how much you should be taking daily. Now, the D3 is also available in a variety of forms and for a variety of ages too. So you can look online to find chewables as well as liquid drops. And next we have omega-3s. So omega-3s are certainly important for brain health as well as for overall vitality. Now, the benefits of our omega-3 extra strength is that it is a source of omega-3 fatty acids for the maintenance of good health. It helps to support cognitive function and helps to maintain and support cardiovascular health as well as reduce cholesterol. So for this particular one, you'd be taking 1 to 4 soft gels daily, dependent on your need. And there's more information, of course, on the bottle. And then our Jamieson Probiotic 10 billion. So probiotics are certainly something that I do recommend regularly along with the other supplements that I've mentioned. And again, this is because we really are supporting overall health at the root, which is digestive health. So the benefits of this formula is that it helps to support intestinal health and can promote a favorable gut flora. So this one is 1 capsule daily with a meal. And then lastly, I wanted to throw this one in here because we were talking about protein, and for some people, they do have trouble meeting that minimum requirement of protein. So one easy way to up your daily protein intake is with a protein powder. I think of these as a functional food and a functional superfood at that. So this is something that, of course, you could add to a smoothie. You could add to certain recipes. You can even just mix it with water and drink it that way. The nice thing about the Whey Protein Plus Essentials is that you have your protein, which is 20 grams per serving, which is a really great dose. And then you also have the essentials that I chatted about. So the multivitamin, you have some D3, you have some probiotics and omega-3 all in one formula. So this one, you would just take 1 scoop daily and you can mix it with any sort of liquid. Okay, so we're ending off here now, and I just wanted to leave you with a little bit of a roadmap. So number 1, I really hope that you maybe even came to this presentation with some personal goals in mind, and maybe you've been reflecting on those goals as I've been going through the essentials and different ways to support ourselves at that foundational level. So next, I want you to check in. I want you to review, are you meeting that movement piece? Are you actually getting the movement that the World Health Organization is recommending each of us to hit every single week? You know, how is your nutrition doing? Are you eating a variety of fruits and vegetables? Are you eating the rainbow? Are you getting enough protein? And then lastly, how are your stress levels? Are you practicing mindfulness? Are you bringing in space for a break? Just a small break. And then when we look at nutrition in particular, you know, it's really important to make sure that we're looking at this through the lens of personal needs. So you will notice that, you know, with our multivitamin, this is great for men and women. And of course, there's a variety to choose from based on your specific lifestyle and your specific needs. You know, do you need vitamin D? Most of us do. So that would be something really important to understand and maybe include in your regime. Probiotics are also a great one, omega-3s and then protein. So really making sure that as you are kind of putting together your basket and you're thinking about what are some things that I'm going to be, you know, using and relying on a daily basis, you want to make sure that those are specific for you. And you also want to make sure that the form, and luckily Jamieson has lots of forms. And when I say form, I mean chewable, liquid, capsule, soft gel. You want to make sure that the form is something that works for you and works for, you know, how you live your day, right? Because, you know, all of us have different preferences. So making sure that you pick something that is specific for you. And that is all that we had today. So I just want to say a really big thank you from Jamieson Wellness as well as Healthy Planet to you. Thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. I do want to make sure that you visit your Healthy Planet either in store or online and just get that wellness plan started, right? It doesn't have to be, a really big undertaking. You can just start with one small thing that you want to start bringing in on a regular basis. If there are any other questions, we do have about 5 minutes before we have to log off here. So I will check the Q&A, and if not, if you have to pop off, I'll say good night and thank you all again. Okay, so I do actually have a couple questions here. So the first question on my list is, what is the difference between an omega-3 and an omega-369 supplement? Great question. So the difference is that an omega-3 supplement is just that. It only contains omega-3. Now you might see a breakdown on the back of the label, and that would be the breakdown of EPA to DHA, which essentially have different functions, but they're both coming from omega-3. Omega-369 is also just that. So it's a combination and really a formulation of omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9. And so usually it's coming, of course, from a variety of sources. So it could be a mix of seed oils, nut oils, maybe even grain oils, and then an omega-3 oil, which could either be from fish or it could be coming from algae. I absolutely love seasonal eating. So I am a big gardener out here in Ontario. I have a giant vegetable and produce garden in my backyard, and I ferment, I preserve as much as possible because I do love eating with the seasons. And so, yeah, I think if you can, get to a farmer's market and just eat what is local and seasonal to you, does so much for us. When should a probiotic be taken? So this is an interesting question because, there's varying rules of thought with this. For myself, when I kind of get into the research, I see that our gut microbiome, our microflora is most active in the evening when we are sleeping. So I typically suggest to take your probiotic with dinner, but essentially any time with food is fine. So I have two big questions here, one about cancer and one about not having a gallbladder. Unfortunately, for both of these situations, I do have to recommend that you speak personally with your healthcare practitioner. On the education side, we're not able to just give blanket recommendations, especially for those type of health issues. But I do wish you the best, and there is a lot of great information out there. Yes, so that's essentially our main stance there. Yeah, oil of oregano is great. I believe we do have an oil of oregano product. And you know what, it doesn't taste great, but it does work. So oil of oregano would be an antiviral. So really good, especially if you start to get that tickle in the back of the throat, if it starts to feel inflamed or itchy, that's when I would throw and really go for that oil of oregano. Excellent. Well, I want to say thank you so much again to Chelsea as well as Nadia for answering so many of the questions in the chat box. Again, a really big thank you from Jamieson Wellness, and thank you so much Healthy Planet for hosting us. We hope that you have had a good evening and you maybe taken away a couple nuggets for yourself. So for now, I will say good night, and we will chat again at our next webinar. Take care all.